So what is the biggest misconception when it comes to calories and losing weight?
That anything labeled healthy is automatically going to help you lose weight because it's not. Things that are labeled healthy, a lot of times are healthy ingredients or healthier in terms of what society would label them as. But if you look at the calories, they're not always going to be putting you into a deficit, or they're not going to be helping you be put into a deficit. And in order to lose weight, you have to be in a deficit. That is square one. That is the basics of losing weight in general. And so if you're not in a deficit and you are wondering why you are not losing weight, but you're eating healthy, it's going to come from not probably, you're in a surplus, even eating healthy foods. So,
Yeah. It was funny this morning or this afternoon, my husband and I were eating lunch and it was like trying to prepare for this podcast. And he was talking about this question. I'm like, oh, I'm going to start with that. And so he asked me, like, what is it? Like, what's a big misconception with calories and all that? And I'm like, it comes down to like, you have to be in a deficit, right? I go, it doesn't matter what you eat as long as you're in that deficit. I go, have you heard of the Twinkie diet? He goes, what? I'm like, yeah, this dude, and I actually looked it up. His name was Mark Haub, Haub,
okay.
and he's a nutrition professor. Have you heard about the Twinkie diet?
Not that one specifically, but I have an idea. I know of like this idea. And so 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he was laughing because I'm like, it doesn't matter what you eat. If you're in a deficit, you will lose weight.
100%.
Doesn't mean it's healthy.
No.
But he just wanted to, his whole point in this was to prove that calories run the show. It's not whether it's a healthy food or an unhealthy food.
Right.
And so what he did was for 10 weeks, he mostly ate junk food, Twinkies, Oreos, brownies, chips, and he just made sure he stayed in a deficit. And in that 10 weeks, he lost 27 pounds.
It's crazy to think about, but if you think of food in general, food is fuel. And so if you start viewing food as fuel, fuel in itself is going to fuel you. So you're going to get calories, right? But what that fuel is made of is going to determine how you feel, what that looks like, the quality. And so, yeah, as long as you are eating less than you are outtaking, like you're eating less calories, you're going to see the scale go down. But I guarantee you, if you dive into how he felt, what his energy levels were, I bet you they were not good. But he was in a deficit. So you're going to see weight loss. And that's the biggest thing that I think gets confused with is we want to see the scale drop, but it's more about, yes, seeing the scale drop, but it's more about how do you feel? How's your body running? How are you changing how you're responding to what your body needs, not just restricting it, not just saying, oh, I'm just going to not give it fuel. Are you asking yourself, like, how do I give my body what it needs to see the results that I'm chasing, not just restrict it until I can't anymore? And so I think that's a big part of just like the misconception is like we think that it has to be all of these certain foods when in reality, like your deficit is your deficit. How you want to build it is going to determine your outcome. But if you're in a deficit, you're going to see weight loss regardless. That is the baseline. And so that's, Twinkie diet or, the McDonald's diet, whatever you want. If you're in a deficit, you'll see the scale move. But it comes down to how do you feel and how long can you stick with that? Because how long did he do the Twinkie diet?
10 weeks.
Do you think like I would be dying after like 2 weeks? I would be like, oh my gosh, I feel terrible. And so it's not sustainable. So you're going to see weight loss, but what did you make that deficit out of? And can you sustain it is going to be the next question.
Yeah. Well, and like at the end of, because I just asked ChatGPT to tell me about it. And it says the real lesson, you can lose weight eating junk, but you won't feel good.
Nope.
You won't stay full.
Nope.
And you definitely will not build a healthy lifestyle off of snacks.
No.
But it proves weight loss equals calorie deficit.
100%.
So I had to laugh because my daughter the other day told me about it and I'm like, oh my gosh, for real?
Right.
So, but I mean, it goes to show like it's all about the deficit,
100%.
Because you can be eating. So like in the beginning of my journey, before I connected with you, it was like, I was eating all the right things, but it was too much.
Right.
I was not in a deficit. I was in maintenance mode. And so, yes, I was eating healthy, but I wasn't in that deficit. And it wasn't until I learned about nutrition that I'm like, got it. So
Right.
then I pivoted, I adjusted, and then the weight started coming off.
100%. See, and I love that progression because it was you started to build that knowledge around getting in a deficit or what you thought was a deficit, but it was based off of the foods, right? And so you already had kind of the nutrition piece worked out. We just had to make adjustments to portions. And then that's when you started to see
Mhm.
the progress. And I think that's a lot of what you're going to come across with anyone that's struggling. It comes down to portion control. And the more and more you get into being aware of that portion control and how to build a balanced plate, you can get better at hitting not only your deficit, but filling your deficit to keep you full, to make it so you can stay on track, that you're not just feeling like crap all the time from eating Twinkies because that's your favorite food. There's a time and a place for a Twinkie, but filling your entire calorie deficit with it is just, you'll learn that there's ingredients that keep you full and there's ingredients and meals that keep you consistent versus just doing everything and anything to just stay at that number. And so the more you stay in it and figure out how to build a better deficit, that the long-term success comes with it, but it comes with time. And so often in the beginning, we want to get in our deficits and then just force it until it can't. And we're usually in the beginning, we'll see some weight loss, but then you're not developing the skills to sustain it and actually like stay in that deficit. So you'll start to see the maintenance and then you'll start to see the back and forth and then you feel like you're spinning your wheels and then we quit, right? And so just starting with the deficit and then learning nutrition like you did, that's the best way to do it because then you learn how to be in a deficit long term, not just by eating junk.
Yeah. Well, and like diet culture, it's selling fast.
Right.
Like you get into these fad diets or what's trending now. And
Right.
if you really look at the basis of it, it's what food groups are you cutting out? How low of calories can you go?
Mhm.
And it is never sustainable. Yes, you lose weight because you're in a deficit,
Right.
but how much of it do you gain back when you go off that diet?
100%. And that's the biggest thing what I see when, especially the diet culture wants us to cut carbs, right? Carbs are the
Mhm.
enemy, right? But when we start to dive into cutting carbs, when you look at the science of it, when you restrict your body of carbs, your body depletes itself of water. It doesn't, it's going to show, reflect on this scale because you're losing all the water that the carbs in your cells hold. And so, yeah, it makes sense that your body's going to lose a lot of weight up front. And so, so often do we want to cut carbs and we'll see tons of progress and gets everyone excited and they're like, yeah, just cut carbs. But your body then has to change how it then runs. And so if you reintroduce carbs, your body's then going to take back the water. You're going to see the scale go up and you're going to think that it's coming from the carbs when in reality, your body needs those carbs. And because you over restricted, now your body has to retrain itself. And so the restricting of certain like full food groups like carbs, it changes how your body reacts and how your body works. And so then as soon as you change it, your body then has to adjust. And so doing these drastic measures, they can bring progress in the beginning, but then you have to think about the long term. How long can you stick with it? And that is the biggest thing that I think, how do I say this? When we think that we have to restrict something in order to see a result, and then we try to reintroduce it, then we get frustrated and we start to see it as the enemy. But in reality, we just need to practice better habits around carbs in general, figure out what carbs actually play into a balanced plate, not just the simple carbs that are going to fill all your deficit, make you not feel the great, not give you tons of energy, but figure out how to build a balanced plate with protein, carbs, fat, so that your body has its fuel, not just restricting it to see the scale move and then figure out later how to reintroduce these foods when you want to eat bread or potatoes again.
Yeah, it is so hard. And I did that for a little bit. And I've never been like one to chase fad diets. I just never even really cared, you
Right,
know. And so a couple of years ago, my husband was doing keto, and I'm like, oh, I can do that with you.
right,
Yeah, but the problem is like I love bread.
right,
Like, and I couldn't have it. And I'm like constantly like, I can't have that. I can't have. What's the one thing I wanted the most?
right.
I wanted the bread.
When you start
You
labeling
know,
it as I can't or that's bad, that's when the mind plays it and you're like, oh, I want
yep,
that.
exactly. So, and it's just not even like, it's not sustainable. And it's like, why don't we start not looking at like quick
Right.
fixes and look at what can I do for the rest of my life?
Right. What can
Because,
Yeah,
oh,
on
go
that
ahead.
same thing, it's not about what can I take away, it's what can I
Mhm.
change or do better. And that's the biggest thing I think when it comes to nutrition. So often do we want to cut calories or we want to cut food groups when it's more so we should be asking what should my body need or what does my body need to get to my goals? Does it need a deficit? And then you go from there. How do I
Mhm.
build that deficit to reach that goal? It's not what do I cut out to make this goal happen? It's like how do I build the choices and the habits that are going to lead me in that direction? And that's going to give you long-term success, not just movement on the scale until you stop trying. And so, yeah,
Yeah, I love that because it's like when you're just so focused on get the scale to move right now, I don't care what I do. It's
right,
like you're so frustrated because that's what leads to the yo-yo dieting. You
right,
drop the weight, you gain the weight, you drop it, you gain it. And it's like, let's just stop.
right.
What can you do for the rest of your life? What's
Hmm.
sustainable? What is going to make you not miserable?
Right. Right.
And then it's like finding those foods.
Yeah, because also the other thing is a deficit should only be short term. And so the more you get better at building a deficit that doesn't feel over restrictive, that's also going to lead to maintenance, right? Because it's portions that you're going to tweak yourself into maintenance once you reach your goal. So deficits, they shouldn't be killing yourself to stay in this deficit. Build a deficit that you can stick with because knowing that that also is going to be the baseline of your maintenance also. Your maintenance and your deficit, the only thing that should really change is the number of calories consumed, not the meals you're eating necessarily. Like build like a lifestyle that you can maintain. You can be in a deficit, you can be in a surplus by just changing those portions instead of having to flip your life upside down in order to see the whatever season you're in of maintenance or weight loss, whatever it may be, but build something that can go from season to season instead.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it was so funny. My mom was here, I believe it was this past summer.
Hmm.
And she is in the beginning was like, you're getting too skinny. And I'm like, I'm 220 pounds. I'm not skinny,
I love
you know,
moms.
but she was like not very supportive.
Hmm.
And then she came to stay with us. And I'm like, I was so nervous. And I'm like, I'm not going to change what I'm doing for her.
Right.
And so
Right.
she came and we were eating, and I guess she assumed that we were just starving ourselves. And she was here 3 weeks, and by the time she went home, she looked at me and she said, "You guys eat so much food. Every time you're like, oh, here's lunch," I'm like, I
Right.
can't eat anymore.
Right.
But she would eat it because it was
Mhm.
lunchtime, right? By the time she left, she had lost 6 pounds.
That's amazing. I love that. Oh, that's so because it just shows that
Yeah.
like nutrition and building plates, like it doesn't mean that you have to be hungry. It doesn't mean you have to be starving. Is there going to be in a deficit? Yes, so you're going to be hungry or you should be hungry when you get to your next meal. That's part of hunger cues and fullness cues. That's part of learning, but it shouldn't be that you're just like willpowering to get to your next meal because you're so hungry. That's not what it's about. Like similar, my sister actually came and lived with us for a month just like a couple months ago. And she like she had never saw kind of how we meal prep, how we do our meals. And she said
Mhm.
like that month, she is like they eat at home. They do all these things that just stay consistent. She's like, you guys make it look easy. She's like, I know it's not easy, but you guys make it look easy. And like my response to her was like, we've just practiced it. That's the whole thing with any diet, with any deficit, you just practice and then you get good at getting yourself set up. And that was the thing. Like she was so surprised with just, she thought that like just going off of like family gatherings where I say no or we have boundaries or we just have certain things that we brought our own food in the past. She just kind of assumed similar, like we're starving ourselves and we just kind of go crazy with meal prep and that we're killing ourselves behind the scenes. And it's like, she's like, no, you guys have a system. You figured out how to make it work for you. And that's key. And by the end,
Mhm.
she's like, I love having like, she's like, I feel so much better because she was in between houses. And so she was eating takeout and she went from, eating out all the time to then getting at least one meal with us at a day. She was home at dinner and she's like, you just feel better. And so just like after a month, she like even noticed, and she's not one that needs to lose a ton of weight or anything that, but she noticed just how much better you feel when you're being intentional with cooking your own meals and just staying consistent with those types of things. So it's similar, just the you think you have to kill yourself to do all these things, but you figure it out along the ways how to make it easier for your situation and how to stay consistent in it.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I hear that from so many of our coaching clients.
Hmm.
They're like, "Oh, I just feel better after
Hmm.
they've been eating this way for a few weeks." And it's like,
Right,
yeah, it's because
right.
that's what your body actually needs. It's
Hmm.
not it's not the junk food,
100%.
you
I
know?
love
It's like,
Yeah, I love seeing when a light bulb goes off after like going off track for a couple days, and then they feel the effects when you're consistent and you feel the effects of the energy and how your body runs when you are being intentional with fueling it. And then when you get off track, how much you just don't feel good. Like that's the number one
mhm,
response of anyone that asks me, how do you stay consistent at this point? It's because I feel good. Like not just about
yep.
my deficit, the foods that fill my meal plan, they make me feel my best. And so when I don't eat those, I miss it, not because it's this like hard like thing that I have to do. It's because no, I feel my best when I'm on track. And so it's no longer being intentional and doing everything I can to stay on track. It's no, I want to get back to on track because I feel my best. And yeah.
Yeah, my daughter, I went down to see her and she wanted to go to crumble cookie. And I'm like, okay. And I literally had like 3 bites of it. And I felt like I was going to die afterward. And I'm like, "Oh, this just isn't
Sugar.
even worth it."
No, it's so much
It
sugar.
was, yeah. And I'm all for like, if it fits in your plan for
Right.
the day, like you don't
Hmm.
have to always like restrict from things. And so it's like, have it sometimes. And that
Right.
was that moment for me. And when I was done, I'm like, I do not like how I feel.
Right.
I just want to crawl up in a ball and go to bed. My
Hmm.
stomach hurts. And it's just because I don't eat like that, you
Right.
know?
But
So,
before, it would have been the opposite. It would have been so hard to say no in those situations because your body
mhm,
craves it, right? But now your body's
yeah.
so conditioned and used to whole foods, or at least closer to a lot of whole foods, that you're like me. We're not perfect. Like we prioritize whole foods, but we have our creamies, we have our indulgences. But when we indulge in something that's so far off of our norm, you feel it like instantly. You
Mhm.
just like, man, I don't want to do that again. Like I've come to the point with either I call them refeeds. I don't call them cheat meals because I am a firm believer that if I call it a cheat meal, it's just going to make me think something I'm cheating, I'm doing something bad. And so with refeeds, they're cheat meals where we don't even like to go out to restaurants anymore. Like we like to go to the store, pick something that we are craving or indulging, and then we'll make a meal at home. Like our new thing is date nights at home instead of going
Mhm.
out and ordering one, because a lot of times the service is not great lately. It
Yeah.
costs so much. You
Mhm.
don't know what's in it, and usually that comes with just not feeling great. All the added, I worked in kitchens for years. I went to culinary school. I've worked in so many kitchens. I know what they're throwing in pans and how they're getting things to taste so good. Like that's why I've
Mhm.
made it my mission to turn what I know how to do cooking wise into healthy versions. And so I know what they're doing back in the kitchen to make it taste like that. And I can tell you it's oils, it's butters, it's creams, it's all the things that are going to skyrocket not only calories, but just things that I don't give my body a ton of. And so my body reacts. And so now it's
Mhm.
when I go and have like that meal that I used to crave. Like I used to be a Taco Bell person. Like Taco Bell was my go-to. And I used to crave it like crazy. And now every time I indulge it, I'm like, man, that was just not that great. And it's just
Yeah.
it's come over time, but it used to be my norm 3 to 4 times a week at least as my dinner. And so it went from being
Mhm.
my favorite thing to now it's like, ugh, I don't even know if I can eat this. And so yeah, your body just
Yeah.
becomes so conditioned to what you fuel it with that it craves it.
Yeah. Yeah. So Tim and I, we go out 1 day a week for one meal at Texas Roadhouse. And I
Hmm.
literally get the same thing every time.
Do you?
And it's funny, and I've always been like that, but it's funny because like what I would have gotten in the past versus now is like chicken breast
Right.
and the small Caesar salad because you got to be careful with salad. And it's
Oh, yeah.
like, I want the dressing on the side,
Hmm.
and it's just like the whole mentality around how I order now is so different.
It is.
And we used to go out once a week to Thai food. And I was like, no, I don't think I want to do that anymore. And
Yeah.
so now it's rare. But the way I order now is so completely different because if I don't order like that, I've had stomach issues since I was 24. Yeah. So
Wow.
almost half my life.
Wow.
And Yeah. So 6 weeks after I had one of my sons, my third kid, I ended up 6 weeks postpartum in the hospital for like 3 days. And I was so sick. Like they couldn't even do surgery because I had to have my gallbladder out. And after that, I just couldn't eat anything. And it was miserable.
Mm-hmm.
But like going, totally lost my train of thought where I was going with that. We're the
Go.
same.
Yeah, no, you're good. Just digestive issues, stomach issues, and how
Mhm.
it's changed now.
Yeah, yeah, it's so different. I used to know to the minute I ate this meal at the 30-minute mark, I'm going to start feeling it.
Hmm.
45 minutes later, I'm going to get stomach cramps. And within an hour, I'm in the bathroom for the rest of the night
Right.
because I couldn't handle anything.
Hmm.
And now I don't know the last time I've had that. And it's because I've completely switched
Right.
how we eat.
Right. And the thing is, a lot of people would look at the beginning stages and they would just write it off as this is the reality. They would just keep
Mhm.
fueling the issue. They wouldn't change the habit. And that's the hardest part is we have to accept the reality and say, that sucks. Like you had your gallbladder out, you changed the chemistry and how your body actually works. And so now it's on you to take action. And so often do we not want to accept the reality? We just want to accept this is where we're at. And we just kind of accept the terms. But I love that you took
Mhm.
action. You're like, no, I changed. I changed what we
Yeah.
do. And now you're seeing that. And that's the biggest thing that I think is the disconnect is we're not willing to, we see the reality, but we just want to say that this is it. We don't want to try harder if it expects more or if it requires more of us. We don't want to do the change because of whether it be we're comfortable or it's just not worth the effort, whatever you want to name it. But when you do lean in and say, no, this is the reality, it's going to be hard. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to fail. I'm going to learn. And now look at
Mhm.
like you went from
Yeah.
basically in the bathroom to now not having an issue. You can't even remember the last issue. And it's because you've been diligent about learning. And that's the
Yeah.
key. Yeah, it probably took you a long time. And we have to accept that that's okay. If we're still working on something, it's okay to take a long time. It doesn't have to be this fast, like diet culture talks about. It doesn't have to be this quick thing. Like work on yourself in a way that's going to lead to sustainability, but also just like a way that's not like pushing you over the edge and leading to burnout. Like it's about figuring out how to give your body what it needs for the rest of your life, not just for whatever goal you're in. Like this is about you like not being miserable for the rest of your life. Like that's what this should
Yeah.
be about. So, yeah.
Oh, exactly. And I literally thought that's what the rest of my life would be. I thought I'm just going to be miserable.
Yeah.
I'm going to like just have stomach issues forever.
Hmm.
And then once I saw the difference it made, it was like, oh, I kind of like this.
Right.
Because there were times I was almost in tears. And
Hmm.
it was like, this is not a way to live. So, okay, so I've kind of been all over the place.
We have. Love it.
So, how do you even build a deficit?
It's a great question. So, I'm going to let you into some insights of how I figured out my deficit. And I think this is
Okay.
kind of true across the board. Back when I started learning deficits, getting myself into a deficit, there wasn't all these fancy tools and macro calculators, deficit, like all those things you can do online now. And so we basically, I know for me, I picked a number when it came to calories that I kind of heard was kind of a good like goal of because I knew I was overeating. And then I started to just do my best to get closer to that number. I started tweaking things. We started eating more whole foods, but it was more of just looking at portions, being aware of what I was doing and tapering that down and then getting better at that. And so getting into a deficit is going to be, I think there's a lot of things you can do right off the bat to get a baseline, whether it be like me, pick a number and then go from there based off trial and error, or use a calculator to get a good idea of what you should start with. But then it's going to be what I said, trial and error. It's going to be week to week, staying consistent in that deficit, tracking it, logging it, and then seeing how your body reacts. And then once you start to see progress, whether it be up or down, then you make those adjustments, and that's how you find your deficit. But it's going to come from trial and error. It's going to look different from every single person. It's based off of your movement, not just in your workouts, not just in your intentional walks, but your overall day to day. So whether your job is manual labor or whether you're a sedentary job, that's going to play into that number. And so there's so many factors that you have to start to look at your overall, just like calories of your what you're consuming now, and then start to adjust from there based off of if you're maintaining, if you're gaining right now, and then based off of your goals. And so that's how I would start, is using a calculator. There's so many like things online that you can use as tools to get you a good idea of where to start, but then it's tracking, it's paying attention to what you're doing in your day-to-day choices, and then from there adjusting those calories and learning how to fill that deficit like we were talking about, just better to keep yourself satiated, to fuel it for the goals that you're having, to not just drop the number on the scale, but to actually sustain the life that you want to build.
So then does that mean that when I was 277 pounds, I should have dropped to 1,200 calories?
No, absolutely not.
But that's what
Especially,
society says.
no, because, oh gosh. No, I mean, you could. Here's the thing, you 100% could, and you would 100% probably see progress for a while. But how
Mhm,
long can you stay at 1,200 calories, especially because I know at 271 pounds is where I started. I remember when I started paying attention, my average daily consumption of calories was over 4,000, like
mhm.
easy. But I was also moving a lot. As someone who went from 271 pounds, who on a day-to-day basis was eating, 4,000 plus calories, if all of a sudden you shock your body into going to 1,200 calories, don't get me wrong, you can probably do it for a little while until you can't. And then
Mhm.
those past habits, those past choices, those cravings, what you've been giving your body for however long, it's going to come creeping back in. And so when you over restrict, you can usually do it until you can't. And that's why willpower only lasts so long. And that's why almost all the time you're going to see someone end up right back at square one. And so my biggest encouragement of someone trying to figure out their deficit, start with figuring out where you're at currently. Don't change anything. Just be intentional or be aware of what your calories are on a normal basis, because that's going to give you an insight to see if the movement on the scale, whether it's staying the same, going up or down, it's going to give you a baseline to be like, okay, this is where I'm at. This is what the results are. And then from there, I would start to cut your calories 2 to 300, depending on what your consumption is. But I wouldn't drop it to 1,200. I wouldn't even drop it 800 calories the
Mhm.
first like little increments, and then start to see how your body reacts. And then also that's going to help you change your habits, not drastically. That's the biggest thing, is the habits have to change, not just the consumption of calories, the habits that actually build those meals and that can consistently build balanced meals that are keeping you on track. And so, yeah, when you drop to the 1,200 or over restricting, you're not changing the habits or the mindsets, you're just changing the goal of the day. And when you haven't learned how to, one, like combat hunger cues, or practice self-discipline or self-accountability, those moments of weakness when you're hungry or when cravings come in, you're not going to know how to navigate those, and you're going to find yourself overindulging, feeling like you're failing, and just always hungry. And then you're going to break at some point, and then you're going to feel like you failed, and then you're going to go back to your 4,000 calories and be like, I don't know why this didn't work. So,
Yeah. Well, and you're miserable.
right.
Like going from 4,000 calories to 1,200, that's a quarter of what you had been eating.
It's
And
going
so
to feel
you're
like
going to
you're
be
literally
miserable.
starving. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And so it's like, but that's what society says you have to do.
Right.
You cut out as much as you can and you're just miserable.
You are
And
miserable.
it's,
And I think society also wants us to believe that we have to lose all the weight today, or by next
mhm.
month, or by summer. But that number on the scale, even when you reach it, what's the life look like? What is the
Yeah.
life you've built? What are the habits? What are the choices on the day to day? Because that number you reach on the scale, even if you have to do anything and everything to get it, then you have to keep doing anything and everything to keep it. And that's
Mhm.
the thing that I think is the disconnect. It's not about getting to square Z, or step Z as quick as possible. It's learning steps A through Z so that you can stay at Z and maintain, and then keep building. And so, yeah, there's no end date. That's like one of the
Yeah.
things I talk about all the time. There's no end date to this journey. There is going to be an end, or a season for weight loss, a deficit, but then there's going to be even more seasons of maintenance. There's going to be seasons of learning how to stay consistent and just stay in it, or you're going to end up right back where you started, and then you're going to have to do all the work again.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast one day and she said, stop judging your progress based on somebody else's journey, which in theory, it sounds easy to do, but like my journey has been so slow. And I was constantly comparing myself to other people. It's like, well, but they did it. Why can't I do it as fast as them? I don't know how many people I've seen lose 100 pounds in a year. It's taken me 2 years. What's wrong with me? Why can't I do it? What am I doing wrong? And it wasn't until I stopped judging myself on other people and their journey that I finally became okay with my journey because it's mine, it's not anyone else's.
Right.
And so it's like, just stop worrying about anyone else, focus on you and what you're doing. Because I mean, this is a lifetime change you're making. And so who cares if it takes 1 year or 5 years? Enjoy the journey, you know. And I don't know if I could put a percentage to it, but and maybe you could, but what percentage of this journey is mindset versus actual weight loss?
Honestly, like 99%.
That's my guess. I would guess it's really high.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Biggest Loser documentary?
I have not. That is one that
You
I
should watch it.
I want to. Now I need
Yeah.
to.
Yes. So we watched it. And I don't know what season this guy won, but he was a season winner. He did phenomenal. He lost so much weight. He was, I could be wrong, but I think he was like 500-ish pounds.
Okay.
Won the season and went on, had skin removal surgery and did amazing. But it showed him talking today and he was larger than he was when he started. And he said it was because they did not work on mindset. He goes, that was my problem.
Yeah.
I need to work on mindset.
It was his environment got him to where it was, but he didn't change the environment at home the long term. That makes total sense.
And what were the issues that got you so overweight?
Right.
Was there trauma you were dealing with? Right. Is it an education standpoint? Right. Like, what is it that got you there? Because something gets everybody overweight, you know? 100%. And so what was it? Right. If it was trauma, did you work through your trauma? If it was an education, for me, it was education. I didn't know. Exactly. Nutrition was not something we talked about. And so it was like, I need to educate myself. And once I did that, it clicked. Right. And so I had to work through so many different mindsets that would hold me back. Right. And I wouldn't be where I am today if I had not worked on the mindset. And so people just need to start focusing, like, what mindset issues do you have that you need to work on?
Exactly. It's all about your approach, because at the end of the day, in order to lose weight, it's through nutrition and movement. Two things that everyone does to an extent, right? We all eat, we all to an extent move based on our scenarios. And so it is mindset, because not anyone, obviously there's circumstances, but anyone is going to make their meals for the day. You're going to fuel your body in one way or another. And so it comes down to your approach, your mindset, your choices. And that all starts here. Our thoughts then lead to our emotions, and our emotions lead to our actions. And so it's 100% our mindsets. Like, it's not even 99%, because you're already doing these things on a day-to-day basis. If you're living, right? We need food. Our bodies are made to move. To some extent, you're probably going to have to get up throughout the day. And so it's looking at both of those things and how do I get better at those things to align with where I want to get to. And so it is a mindset, 100%.
Yeah. 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 It's crazy. Like, just seeing people who can drop the weight like that, but then they gain it back like that.
Yep.
And it's like, if they're honest with themselves, it wasn't the food. I mean, they ate it, but it was the mindset that got them right back to the food for the comfort, for, if they were trying to deal with stress or emotions or whatever issue they're dealing with, when they turn to food, you got to overcome that mindset.
100%. That's my number one thing that I will talk to clients about. Whatever struggle comes up, we lean into the why. What put you in that mindset? What triggered that? Because you have to identify the target. If you're not identifying the target of why your choices are being directed or why your focus is its way, then you're not going to know what to change. And so you have to change, you have to start with our thoughts. We have to start with our mindsets because that's going to lead to our emotions. And when our emotions lead to our actions, if it's negative, it's going to lead to unproductive, negative actions. If we can be more positive, it's going to lead to productive actions, and that's going to lead us forward. And so it all starts with our thoughts. It all, like,
Yeah.
literally everything in life, not just in weight loss, not just in fitness, started with a thought. It all starts with a thought that then leads to action. And so it's all about how you approach any situation, how you approach anything in life. That's going to dictate your choices and how your results, your progress in anything.
Yeah. So how do we take this and like integrate it into our lifestyle? Like you were talking about your sister and coming to your house and staying and was like, wow, this is just basically your lifestyle. You've created your life around this. So how do you do that?
Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to learn. That's the number one thing. So often do we look at a mistake or off track day, week, whatever it may be, and we just want to say that that's it. And I
Mhm.
challenge anyone to, instead of quitting at those moments, lean into it because it's going to reveal exactly how you move forward, how you integrate it into your life a little bit better. Because it's not about forcing these things, it's about having a plan, trying them, but then learning to pivot. Life is going to change. Life is going to throw you obstacles. You're going to fail. That's part of life. That's part of being a human. And when we accept that and we accept that those fails are actually lessons that can move us forward instead of things that we want to pretend didn't happen, that's
Mhm.
where that's where your answer is. That's how you move forward. That's how you integrate these things into your life, but that's going to look different for everyone. And so you have to reflect on your day-to-day choices. You have to be honest with yourself and you have to be willing to change the things that need changed. If you're not willing to change things that are keeping you stuck, then you're going to stay stuck.
Yeah, I love how you said that because I was actually going to talk about that. So my husband read this book, and I don't remember the name, but it talks about wins and losses, and
Mhm.
it's talking about stacking your wins, no matter how small they are, because they stack and
100%.
they grow. But a loss is not a loss unless you didn't learn from it, and so you just look at losses as lessons.
100%.
So, and you can't change the past. So look at it. What can I learn from it? And how
Right.
can I change moving forward?
Right. What you're gonna
So,
what you're gonna reveal when you start leaning into asking yourself, what can I do? You're gonna reveal patterns, cycles, and that's gonna reveal how you can change and overcome those obstacles that keep knocking you down. It's when we just want to pretend they don't happen that we just keep repeating them. Don't avoid them. Lean into them, learn from them, and choose to grow and get stronger at them. Like that's the only reason that you've had any success is because you've chosen to get stronger. It's not because you've been perfect. It's because you've chosen to grow, to learn, to change, to pivot when life has thrown you something. And it's not because you've done it perfectly. You continue to learn. Yeah.
yeah, and it's been far from perfect. And I don't care who you are, nobody has done it perfect. We've
Amen
all
to that.
struggled, we've all had slips. Like,
Every single
I'm
day.
so far from perfect. And
100%.
I think oftentimes people think that they have to be perfect and in order to make any sort of advancement. And I was like, no. So you had a bad day. Cool. That was yesterday.
Right.
Or that was breakfast. Or that was lunch. Like you got dinner coming up. Change
Right.
then. You
Yeah.
know,
Always the
you
next
don't
one.
have to stay there. Learn
100%.
from it and move forward.
So often do we not want to embrace that though? Because it's
Yeah,
hard. It's not
it
easy
is.
to step out of your comfort zone. It's not easy to ask yourself those hard questions and be honest with yourself. Otherwise, everyone would do it. Everyone would be reaching their goals.
Mm,
It's not easy. We say these
yeah,
things like they're easy, but it's not.
it's not.
And we keep learning. Like that's the number one thing in the last 8 years of me becoming more intentional is just I keep learning. Like life continues to throw me curveballs, obstacles, new struggles. And I just continue to ask myself, okay, how do I get better at this? How do I get stronger? How do I set myself up a little bit better next time? And that's all you can do. It's accepting that you're gonna fail, that you're gonna make mistakes, but it's how you react in those situations.
Yeah. I've heard like fat loss and weight loss, it's simple, but it's not easy.
Nope.
And I can tell you, this has been one of the hardest things I've ever done. Like so
But
many times I've just wanted to give up,
100%.
but I didn't.
You didn't, and now look at where you're at. and how
Yeah.
far you still have to go. That's the exciting part. I think so often we look at how far we have yet to go,
Mhm.
but we're gonna forever be a work in progress. Like you're not done. Like there's no
Yeah.
end date, right? And so like if we can change our perspective of embracing the fact that no, I get the rest of my life to work on building a better life, embrace
Mhm.
that. Don't stay stuck in
Yeah.
the misery. Don't stay stuck in the the shame and the hard just because it's hard to grow. It's hard to push yourself. That's your reality. Your reality is hard. So choose your hard. It's not
Yeah.
going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. And the more and more you can look at these tasks, like I said, like you have to eat, like we all have to move to some extent. So the more and more you can keep it the basics and just keep growing in it, the easier it becomes.
Yeah. One thing, so I've just recently gotten on TikTok and I'm like posting there and I saw this TikTok and it was this girl who had lost, I don't know, like 200 pounds.
Okay.
And she was talking about like, is it easier being skinny or overweight? And I guess I had never thought about it, but
Hmm.
it's things like tying your shoes, going up a flight of stairs,
Right.
buying clothes, and it's like I look at that because your why and everything changes as you go through this process. And that's something that I've really been thinking about lately is like, I'm going to choose this easy over the easy of staying on the couch or in bed or ordering,
Right.
takeout. And it's like, I love being able to climb up the stairs into my house
Right.
and not feeling like I'm going to die.
Right.
And so it's just something I had never thought about before. There are definitely aspects that are so much easier now versus when I was overweight, but it's not been easy. It has been the most difficult time of my life making these changes and sticking to it,
Right.
but it's been worth it.
100% worth it. And how much stronger have you become, not just physically, but in overall? Because I've
Oh
seen it.
God.
I see it from the outside. And so you handle situations so just hearing the insights so drastically different than you used to because you've built confidence not just in the gym, not just in your weight loss, but you've built confidence how to approach life. And it's because of your mindsets. It's because of you've changed how you approach life in general and you're seeing the effects of that.
Yeah. And it's so amazing. It's like I used to think I was confident at 277 pounds. I swore I was confident. I wasn't. It was a front. I
100%.
was not confident. I wouldn't fly to save my life, not because I was afraid of it, like of the actual flying, but because
Right.
I was afraid of the seat and the
Hmm.
seat belt.
Hmm.
And are people going to be afraid to sit next to me?
Right.
And I just had no confidence.
Right.
And throughout this journey, the amount of confidence, and I see this in so many women who have gone from really large to smaller, and the confidence
Right.
is incredible. And it's just, I see their confidence and it just makes me smile. Like, yeah,
And it's not just because they're smaller. That's the thing. You
no,
getting one of them, it's
no.
because of the work. It's because of them
Mm-hmm.
pouring in that they're like,
Yeah,
no, I've done this. And you take pride, and pride is a
you
bad thing,
do.
but at the same time, in this regard, like you should have pride in taking care of yourself. You should want that. And so like you build that through this journey. It's not
Yeah.
just about aesthetics. It's about who you become. It's becoming Jamie that you had envisioned and acting like her and stepping into every room as her. And so yeah, I love that. Just the
Yeah.
confidence. That's drastically the biggest thing that has changed in me outside of just the number on the scale or what you see. It is I am a completely different Brittany because of how I carry myself. I have the
Mm-hmm.
confidence that I know what I'm doing. I'm not looking for everyone's approval. Like, yeah, I'm still human. I still get down on myself. I still compare myself, but I've built such a solid, just like self-care that like, no, like I know my worth. And then I'm gonna show, like, I'm gonna outpour that because I've built myself up. I now can pour that out to others. And that shows like before I used to be the funny one and like try to make jokes, but I avoided mirrors. I avoided everything when it came to myself. Don't look at me. I wanted to reflect everything. And so there was no confidence. Like you, like I put on a front and it's completely changed. Like I now like I still have those moments, don't get me wrong, but I can walk into a room and I know who Brittany is. I'm no longer looking for approval. And it's because I've chosen to pour into myself. And that's a big part of this journey is just building that confidence. And it comes from you pouring into you.
Yeah, 100%. It's probably been the most shocking part of this journey is the confidence that has been built because like I said, I thought I was confident
Right.
and I wasn't. And
Mhm.
it's like I can walk into a room with my head held high and not feel like I need to kind of shrink in the corner or hide myself. It's like, no, I'm worth being here just like everyone else,
Exactly.
you know? So I don't know. I think for me, that's like the biggest thing through this journey is the confidence.
100%. You start because you want to lose weight, but then
Mhm.
once you actually realize that it's not that number on the scale that you're chasing, it's the life. It doesn't matter if it takes you 2 years. It doesn't matter if it takes you, I've been at it 8 years, like, and I plan to spend the next 8 building. It doesn't matter
Mhm.
how long it's going to take. Like, it's either go back to who I was and be miserable or keep learning, keep trying, and keep building something that I love. Keep building confidence so that I can keep helping others and pouring into others. Like, that's that's what it should be about. It's not about the number. And I know that's why so often so many get into it, but the ones that stay in it and the ones that find long-term success is when they realize it's not about the deficit. It's not about the scale. It's about building a life that you can build confidence in, that you enjoy, that you're not miserable, and that you keep building on.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's what keeps you going. Because I
That's it.
mean, you still have down days. I still have down days,
Believe
right?
me.
Like we are
Amen.
not perfect. And
No,
but
but we
it's
learn how
worth
to
it.
turn it around.
Yeah,
We've learned how to
exactly.
pick ourselves back up. That's the only difference is we choose not to quit when we fail or when it gets hard. That's the only
Yeah.
difference. Like you said it, or I forget exactly what you said, but it's I always talk about you only fail if you quit. And
Mhm.
that's the true. Like so often do you want to say I failed, I messed up? It's like, no, try again.
Yeah. What'd you learn from it?
Exactly.
Don't beat yourself up over it.
100%.
Learn what can you do differently next time and then move on.
100%.
Because if you sit here and you dwell on what you did wrong or oh, I just messed up, like for one, that's terrible for your mindset. And
Right.
two, it's not going to do anything productive for you.
Right. Like, where is that
So,
leading you? That's just staying stuck in the negative. Being like, yeah, I messed up. Embrace it. Say, yeah, I struggle. Guess what? I guarantee you, you let anybody else know you're struggling, they're gonna be like, oh, me too. That's the biggest thing
mhm,
is we all think that like we look outside and we think people don't struggle. It's like you start talking about your struggles, you're gonna realize so many others struggle with you. Guess what? Come together, grow together, have strength
yep,
together. That's the other thing. Like so often do we just want to pretend it doesn't happen or that we don't fail? It's like, no, embrace it. There's
yeah,
strength there. People want to say that it's weak to embrace their struggles or talk about their struggles. And it's like, no, there's strength when you embrace your weaknesses.
yeah. Well, and it gives you the opportunity to be able to help other people too. Because,
Oftentimes,
it's like you look at these people, oh, they lost this weight. They must have a perfect life. It was so easy for them.
heck
No, they
no,
still struggle.
right?
So it's like, it's not one and done. You lose the weight and you're done and you move on and you're perfect. No, that's like not it at all. Like we're all in the same boat.
Exactly.
Cool.
Oh, I love this. All right.
So I'm gonna,
I know I'm looking at the notes.
I think I got us clear down to the biggest takeaway.
I know. I was looking, I was like, man, she just went for it. Nice work making me, I'll get better at redirecting my thoughts.
No, you're totally good. I like the conversation and it flows. And I was able to pull in bits and pieces going down the list.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, no, I think it was great.
Okay. Do you want to end with anything, or do you just kind of want to end with that and you'll pick a spot, or do you want to end with something specific?
What do you think?
Well, how do we want these to go every week? Do we want, because I know I did like a win or an action at the end. Do you want to do something like that at the end of these? Do you want to give
Oh, that'd
advice,
be
or do you
good.
just want it, or do you just want it to be more conversation and they take away what they want, or do we want to have like, this is how you can start this week? I know we
Yeah,
were
no,
kind
I
of all
think
over
that's
the
really
place.
good. No,
So
that's
I'm like,
okay.
does this
No,
go
I
along?
I really like the idea of at the end being like, okay, here's your CDA or
Hmm.
like how can you take this and implement it into your life?
Right.
So,
Do we want, because I know we kind of strayed away from deficits. We went into mindset a lot, which I feel like me and you are going to
yeah,
go into a lot.
yeah.
Do we want to redirect the call to action to something on that line, or do we want to keep it in line with the calorie deficit?
I say we just go to the mindset because we really went there a lot. And I think it's so important in this journey. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let's just do something mindset.
Okay.
Let me
I
see. I'm gonna
think
pull up Chat GPT.
I was
Tell
going to
me if you
say,
think of anything.
one of the first things that I always encourage a client that's working on a struggle is to start asking themselves the questions of why. When you're in that negative headspace, what put you there? What is the trigger, right? Because you got to start somewhere. So maybe it's encouraging them to take action on a struggle this week and leaning into it instead of shying away from it.
I think
Or
that's
what is
great.
ChatGPT?
It didn't really come up with anything. It just
You're
told me what
okay.
a call to action was.
Oh gosh, gotta love that. Thank you, AI. I
Thanks.
didn't know
That's what
that.
I asked.
Right. But yeah,
Okay. So do you want to do that and I'll just ask you?
sure.
Okay. So we've gone through so much. We started with calorie deficit and then we went into mindset. You're just like me and we're like all over the place. But what is something that people listening could really take away from this episode and implement it into their life today?
I'm gonna hit on leaning into a struggle. Whatever, how small, big, whatever it may be, I want to encourage you instead of next time you see that you fail or you mess up, whether it's in your deficit, meals, workouts, whatever it may be, I want to encourage you, lean into it. Lean into the why. Lean into if it's a mindset, why are you going negative? What triggered you to be in that negative headspace? And how can you redirect your thoughts to something positive? Start to identify different struggles that you are faced with and embracing them. You first got to identify the things keeping you stuck if you want to start working on overcoming them. And so first identify struggles, just one. Just start with one. That's all it takes. And then once you figure out how to navigate that one, move to the next one. It's not about naming all of your struggles today, but start with one. What struggle can you start to work on today and then work from there, one step at a time in the right direction? And so start embracing struggles one at a time would be my biggest encouragement for anyone wanting to start or keep going in their journey. It doesn't matter if you started years ago, everyone's got struggles. I got struggles all the time that I need to work on. And so identify those and start to ask yourself, what can I do instead? Or how can I approach this differently?
Oh, I love that so much. That is so good.
So,
So,
anything
well,
for
I'm
you?
excited for these.
What would you
For
say?
me, I would say stop. I kind of already said it earlier, but I think stop comparing yourself to other people.
100%.
It doesn't matter where somebody else is or where you think you should be. This is where you are right now. Embrace it. If you messed up or you failed, like what lesson can you learn from it and implement that next time?
100%.
So,
Comparison is the thief of joy.
yes, that is so good. I'm so
100%.
excited.
Me
I
too.
I'm excited
No,
for these. We're gonna do them almost every week.
I love
Yes, it's gonna be so fun.
I love it. I actually have an idea of a guest that I was going to talk to you about. I had the thought last night, actually. It's actually the guy. So it used to be Kyle's coworker. He worked in special needs, but he's a bodybuilder coach, online coach. I'm not sure if you follow him, but his name's Dustin. He lives here in Oregon, but he is actually who inspired Kyle to start. So in a way, he's actually who inspired me to start my journey, but he's another online coach that works with like professional bodybuilders, but he is also a certified nutritionist, not like degrees, like
Oh,
doctor,
okay.
like does like he's on a whole other level when it comes to coaching and